Hey, what's up everybody? This is me, Kent. I wanted to make a new video on the Google Pixel 3. I wanted to review this phone to you guys and just kind of give you guys a heads up on how I feel about the phone after using it for about 2 to 3 weeks now. It's my main phone. I picked up the 64 gigabyte not pink model, which is awesome because this color actually looks pretty good. You know, in some lights it does look like a bright, really, really bright pink. In some lights, in warmer light, it looks like it's like a sand color. So it kind of changes depending on the lighting situation. But overall, I think it's a great phone. I'm going to go over with you a few things that I didn't like about the phone. The main thing I didn't like at first was the battery life, which I still don't really like. It only gives me about 3 to 3.5 hours of screen on time, which is not really acceptable in my, usage. I just think it should get better battery life than this, especially since I only use my phone just to message, to call, and just watch occasional YouTube videos and listen to music. But it's not super heavy usage, but it's just not giving me the battery life that I would like, especially compared to last year's model. Another thing I didn't like was just the gesture navigation. It's okay. It feels a little janky. It doesn't have the smoothest transitions like an iPhone would have, or even some phones like the OnePlus 6T and phones like that just have more natural gesture navigation. So that's another thing I wish they would improve. I hope they get rid of this empty wasted space in the bottom and just have some off-screen navigation. It just wastes a lot of space in the bottom that could use for video or pictures or even text. So I hope they get rid of that navigation gestures and come up with something a little bit new and smoother. Hopefully by the next update, or at least the update after that. But other than that, other things that just little small bugs is like the fingerprint gesture. It's just not as smooth as it is on the Pixel 2. For some whatever reason, it only registers my fingerprint swiping down to check the notifications maybe 80% of the time, which is pretty good, but you're paying this much for a phone. It should work really, really well out of the box. And especially if it's not working, just fix it with the software update. So I hope they get that ironed out in the next update here. But other than that, other things to nitpick, I guess the bezel is still pretty big in the top and bottom, but compared to last year's Pixel 2, it's much, much better. So going to the things that I do like about the phone, I really do like the screen a lot better than last year. Like I said, the con was that it still has a little bit of bezel on top and bottom, but the screen's really bright. The colors are way better than last year's. The edge on each side, the bezels are actually pretty good looking. They're pretty slim. It just looks nice to the eye when you're reading text or just watching a video, looking at pictures. It's very sharp for 5.5-inch OLED. It looks really good. Brightness hasn't really been an issue with me. Maybe because I live in Oregon, there's not tons of direct sunlight all the time, so it's not really an issue with me. The brightness seems fine. I do have it at like 75% brightness, so maybe that's why it's killing my battery life. But the screen's great. Another thing that's great about this phone is that the form factor is actually really good. It's very, very small, so you can actually grip it with one hand really easily. It's really light, so you don't feel like it's a big brick in your pocket. So that's another pro about this phone, is that it gives you all the flagship features, in a really nice and compact frame. And then next thing I do like about this phone that not many people talk about is that it's just it has excellent speakers. I mean, some of the best speakers I've heard in a phone. I tested against my iPhone 10 and iPhone 10R. It just sounds more immersive and more rich, has a little more bass, and just kind of sounds more of a full, rich sound that you expect from like a front-facing speaker that it has. So it just sounds really good. I've done tons of, music tests, video tests, playing audio, and it just plays really, really good audio. So when you're not using headphones, it's fine to watch videos and just listen to some songs on there. So the speakers are really good, and your hands never really block it because it's obviously facing towards you on these each side here. So I really like the speakers a lot on this phone, and I'm not afraid to just play some songs and leave it on my table if I don't have my Bluetooth headphones or my Bluetooth speaker. Another thing I really like is, of course, the cameras. Everyone talks about the cameras, how amazing they are, and like I said, they really are that good. I'll start out with the selfie camera. The selfie camera is awesome because you can do that wide selfie. I use that a lot because I want to capture more of the environment around me, along with myself. So it actually becomes really, really easy to just capture all the background. Or if you just want to have a few more extra friends in there with the picture, it's just very versatile. And if I do want a wide angle in the back, I just sometimes flip my phone this way and just take a picture of the landscape or whatever I want to. And it's nice because it does actually capture, and you can still see it in the viewfinder to use it as a wide angle front cam if you like to. Other than that, the portrait mode looks really, really good in the front camera as well. Compared to my iPhone XR and also iPhone X, the front portrait looks super good. Really, really sharp, really good skin tones, and also it lifts enough shadows out that it doesn't look over processed. So it has really, really good skin tones, and that applies in the back camera as well. Pictures just look great. They look like they're taken from a mirrorless or DSLR camera. I shoot with a lot of cameras, like my A7R, my Ricoh GR. I used to shoot with a bunch of Fujifilm gear. You know, compared to those, this phone takes really good pictures. You know, if you want to capture good memories, whether it's a birthday party, whether you're going on a long vacation, or just day-to-day shots, I wouldn't be hesitant to use this all the time as my main camera. I mean, some occasions I do want my more expensive camera just to get that extra bit of detail or dynamic range or sharpness, but 85% of the time I want to carry this with me instead because it's so light and it's so easy to edit and share on the go. So I do use this a lot for my camera usage now. And then other than that, the night sight is truly amazing. Honestly, one of my favorite features. It kind of does some magic. I don't know what they do. You know, it makes you hold the camera still for a little bit longer, but it gets amazing detail at nighttime. It doesn't look overly processed. It just looks like it just boosts the exposure, does some kind of processing when merging some pictures together, and it ends up having a beautiful picture in like the dimmest environments that you can usually take out of. So, you know, taking pictures at a bar or taking pictures in a low lit environment or outside at night, the pictures look really awesome. And definitely recommend using that when you can. You can even use it during the daytime to kind of get a little bit of extra details in the shadow or get a little less noise in the picture to make your pictures a little more clean. And then other than that, other things that I really like, just the overall smoothness of the phone. I mentioned the gestures weren't the best, but when you open apps, when you close apps, when you play games, I've never had any performance lag. So this phone's really smooth. You know, it's got that iPhone level of smoothness in there, so you shouldn't have to worry about, you know, your phone slowing down. Maybe it will in the future, but so far within the last 3 weeks, it hasn't really gave me any performance issues at all regarding the smoothness and the performance of the phone. So I'm really happy about that. That's one thing I missed about Android, that at least on the stock Pixel device, it feels really smooth. Just going through all the navigation with your fingers and everything. Sometimes it feels smoother and faster than my iPhone. Like when scrolling, I just feel like iPhones have a little bit of, you know, input lag. Maybe it's just to create the, you know, make the animations a little bit smoother. But here I can just flick up and down, whether in the navigation drawer or if I'm in a web page just browsing through text on ESPN. It just feels a lot faster, you know, up and down, and it's just really fast and smooth. So performance has been really good. No issues with that at all. And then, you know, overall, other than that, the phone is it's a really good phone. I recommend people to pick it up if they love Android or they want a really good camera, or they just want a phone that just works really well. I mean, yeah, there's other options like a Samsung S9 or, you know, a OnePlus 6T. They have, you know, a little bit better feature sets here and there, but overall, if you want just a phone that will, you know, be updated in the last, you know, the next 3 years, it's a good phone to have because they'll always get the latest Android updates. And also, you know, when it comes to new features with Android, the Pixel will always get the, you know, newest updates. So I really like the Pixel line. I know it hasn't got the best reviews this year, but personal use, I really like the phone a lot. I highly recommend it. And yeah, thank you for watching the video.